Howdy, everybody. We are here. We're live. We're live. Happy Tuesday, Tara.
I feel like you've been looking forward to this all day. One of the first things Dr. Flo said to me this morning was, I think it's Tuesday, and sent me the deconstruction notion.
I think it's Tuesday. There's so much to talk about. Like I know that the community wants to have a conversation about the things that are important to us. We're wandering throughout life, talking to ourselves. I don't know about anybody else. I got about 12 voices in my head that's pulling me towards 12 different dreams. And sometimes it's good to just talk in community about the things that are important to us. Welcome to the space. We represent Love and Action Network. And if you're wondering what Love and Action Network is, we are a network of human beings, not human doings, but human beings who are dedicated to putting our love in action on the planet. There's so many vibrations, fear, doubt, discouragement, depression, so many things that pain us that are roaming in the earth. But we focus here on love and the ways in which love can liberate. I'm Dr. Flo. I'm a professional mentor and coach online, in addition to a headlining entertainer, baby. Bow. You can book the love experience to come. I know. We upgraded today.
Why am I small?
Why are you small?
I'm small.
That's equity. We're turning your glossary to E. E for equity.
Equity. Always looking for equity, not just equality.
Yes. I also would have given you the bigger slot if you wanted it.
No, equity is fine.
Equity is.
I was just like, why am I small? Why am I small? Anyway, sorry, I interrupted your introduction.
No, we're still learning the tools. And what I do is teach people how to use the tools. Some of you want to create content. Some of you want to learn to copyright. Some of you want to speak online. Some of you want to perform online. Some of you want to introduce yourselves to audiences in real life and then carry them with you digitally throughout the country and the world. These are things I specialize in and help people with every day as they build their own brands and businesses and their multiple streams of income for freedom. Multiple streams of income for freedom. What do I coach, Tara? Multiple streams of income for freedom. Multiple streams of income for freedom. Multiple streams of income for freedom. What do we want? Multiple streams of
income for freedom. Ridiculous.
You can learn more about me and my magic at lovedandlovable.bio.link. I have been partnering in the battlefield of the Lord of Love with the lady on stage for the last 3 years, Tara Praolo Studio. As Oprah said about Gail, she is the mother that I wanted, the sister I longed for, the chicken on my sandwich, and the mustard on my corn dog.
Do you put mustard on your corn dog, Cha?
You don't put mustard on your corn dog?
I do ketchup. I don't like mustard.
I think we talk about this all the time because I'm always like, Dijon.
Right.
Like, never.
No, thank you. Except like honey mustard. Okay. I eat honey mustard on Chili's chicken crispers. So if y'all want me to eat mustard, you just have to get me chicken crispers and I will eat the honey mustard. It's my only honey mustard sauce that I will eat.
The only time mustard happens in your life.
The only time.
Respect. Well, now that we know that mustard is a no-go, who else are you? When I said who are you, I wasn't being like, who are you that you don't eat mustard? No, like, who are you?
Who am I? Hi, I'm Tara Praolo. I'm your resident white-facing, biracial, multi-passionate musician, and I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about and push you to do the same. I'm going to add a thing for today, which is that I am the queen of quips. Like, I have so many little short quips that I throw at people all the time, like joy is the revolution, lift every voice. What else did I say? Push the damn button, make good trouble, do good work. All the things that you've all heard me say 100 times. Don't sing train, sing free. See, queen of the quips. queen of the quips. Okay. Maybe that's what I should put in my Instagram bio. Queen of the quips.
We have the quips because the little pithy things you say, the little fortune cookie things you say, these quips, if adequately applied, they can change a person's life.
They can change a person's life. You can find me at tarapriolo.com/links or lovedandlovable.bio.link. You can find me both ways. I am Tara Priolo Studio on all platforms, and I collaborate with Dr. Flo at least once a week to deconstruct, but most of the time we're deconstructing in the background. So join us for 30, 60, 90 days at whatever we're doing for free 99 or for paid chow. We both are paid as coaches and mentors and all the things and performers. And so, if you want to drop some ducats, drop some ducats. And I'm excited for tonight. Like I said, Dr. Flo woke up nice and early and like Dr. Flo'd it. And excuse me, we have inspo.
Bless you. Bless you. Miles and miles away, from 900 miles away. Bless you. We do have inspo. This morning, I woke up feeling really encouraged that things are going to get better for all of us. There's this thing that you told me about earlier in the DMs called hope. Can you rip a little bit in your I know it's supposed to be on me, and I did pick some inspiration cards to read from, but there was a post that you sent me that dealt with hope being.
I literally went to our DMs because I was like, I don't remember the quote, but hope is an expensive currency. Hope is an expensive currency. I used to say, we used to talk about hope. Oh, Instagram was like, is there something wrong? No, girl. Hope is not a business strategy. Hope is not a strategy. And I do still believe that hope is not a strategy, but we need hope. I have to say, in this most recent iteration of this election where Kamala came to the forefront and chose Tim Walz and Walls, whatever, y'all. I'm 50-50. I get to say it how I want.
Black at heart.
Child, black at heart. Waltz. That's how it's spelled. I'm also a classical musician. That's how it's spelled. Anywho, I think hope is so necessary the same way that I think joy is necessary. I just think we can't rely on it. I think it's a breath of fresh air, as Glow was saying. We got that from a Glow Graphics. Those of you that don't know Glow Graphics, she's a graphic designer, thus her name. But she travels the world, and she every election cycle gets very involved in post-political stuff. And I really enjoy her. I've enjoyed her for a long time. And as she said, hope is an expensive strategy. And yeah, in this day and age, it is. And it's a resistance strategy. And we talk about that a lot in Deconstruction Junction, that the first things that they try to rip from us to oppress us are the things that make us feel hopeful or joyful or positive, right? And so it is resistance and revolution to stay in those things, even when things get hard. Thus is why when we lift our voices in song, it feels so good. And that's why I think we see, even in places like Gaza, ceasefire now, that there is still song being sung, right? Because that is hope, that is joy, that is a message that usurps all things to House of the Dragon for a moment. Yes. Usurpers, the usurpers,
my lady.
Right? Are they the greens or the blacks? The greens or the blacks. The greens for Thanksgiving, the blacks the rest of the year. Greens, Wicked, Cynthia Erivo. See where I went? Hope. What do you think about hope being an expensive currency?
I interpreted it.
Edited it.
What it felt to me like was, of all the things that people want to afford and seek to afford and do afford, hope is one of the most costly. It's almost like to hope for a brighter tomorrow costs more than getting that next fancy pair of shoes or that next model of the phone or whatever we're wanting in these days of our lives. And so I hope that even it is my wish and prayer, Poppy Water would want me to say, it is my prayer, my heart's desire, um, that I would just increase in my hope. You know, a little bit at a time, a lot of it at a time, but that it wouldn't become so elusive to me that I could afford all of the things that I piss away money on, but like not hope, when it kind of is a fuel for the whole thing. You know, there's not uh you know, brag book in the cloud. I've accomplished some major dreams in my life, and I don't think I would have seen any of those career paths or dreams manifested, the dreams, if not for hope. I hope to get the opportunities. I hope to connect. I hope that the resume would get through, you know, the hiring partner, the casting agent. I hope that they would like what they heard in the space in the room or in the auditions or interviews. I hoped that I would be successful in my training and my schooling. I hoped that the bus would get to the venues safely. I hoped that sound check would go well, right? I hope that we would have excellent run of performances. All these things have happened in my life on this very expensive quality. You know, we find that being glass half empty, some call it pessimism, that's commonplace. Everybody can afford that. The world's going to end. Everything's going to shit. That's a common thing that everyone, that's an idea that everyone can afford. But hope is more expensive, which makes it a luxury, you know, a luxurious thing to rest in. That's how I feel about that quote. That's where it landed on me. I'm not even sure that I really watched the clip fully. I got the cliff notes. And speaking of cliff notes for your life, I've got 3 for you tonight to open, and then we'll jump into our hot topics and whatever we want to deconstruct.
Let's do it.
Release. Release. Today, I release limiting beliefs, harmful thoughts, toxic patterns, and anything out of alignment. I am ready for transformation, Tara, and welcome this shift. I'm creating space for a new chapter filled with love, abundance, and amazing opportunities. Today, I release limiting beliefs. We're going to come back to this because this is something bing, 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 bing. We talk about this almost every day in the network in some way. Conquering, looking at, witnessing, overcoming joyfully these limiting beliefs that we all have. Like, I have so, I mean, like, whew, I could donate some to the Goodwill, honestly, and never look back. But I don't want anybody else to pick them up either. Anyway, today I release limiting beliefs, harmful thoughts, toxic patterns, and anything out of alignment. I am ready for transformation and welcome this shift. I'm creating space for a new chapter filled with love, abundance, and amazing opportunities. What has been the hardest to just push you into the deep end of the Olympic-sized pool? What has been your biggest challenge as it relates to overcoming these limiting beliefs that kind of sit in there?
That's not the question I thought you were going to ask. Listen, y'all, we get real used to being in fear. We get real used to fighting for our limitations. We get real used to being comfortable in what is actually uncomfortable. You know, Rachel K. Albers said this a long time ago, which was essentially that like capitalism actually makes all of us uncomfortable, but like we don't realize that we're uncomfortable until we realize we're uncomfortable. It's kind of like racism, you know, like once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? Once you realize an industry is racist, you're like, oh God, the whole thing's racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like one of those things. And I think that's like kind of like limiting beliefs. It's like you find one and you're like, oh my God, there's 30,000 others because they're all tied into the same thing. And I think because we're comfortable in them, right? Like sometimes we can feel like they protect us. That's what makes it so hard to just release them. Like we can know, right, that it's not true. We can know that it might feel better to not have that belief, and we can still feel comfortable with the belief, you know? So I think that's the part that like we're socialized to be comfortable in the limit as opposed to being uncomfortable outside of the limit. And we preach this too, right? Like to be on the edge, to be on the risk, like that kind of thing. Like what if we went beyond that belief? That maybe the comfortable is actually being out on the limb and the uncomfortable is sitting and living with the limiting beliefs that we have. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, if we want a life of adventure, which we are committed to, you and I, both individually and collectively, have committed to a life of adventure, and I have lived here. Then, right, then you're going to be out on the outer edges of the fringe of what the conversation is and what it means to stand for love in. And yeah, you know, like I said, we're all moving through limiting beliefs and paradigms, as we call them here. And knowing when to let go is also really, really good for us and to us. All right, moving forward. My own energy. I love being there for friends and family while staying true to myself. I don't let others' energy or mood affect my own. To help a friend in a hole, I don't need to jump in the hole with them. Simply reach out a hand. It's up to them to do the rest. What do you? I'm going to throw once again another curveball coming at you, Kamala.
Okay, Joe. Do you want to be Joe, Tim, or Mitch today?
Trust me, I'm all three. Little do they know, I am all three. How do you feel? We talk a lot in our network about American friendship through my prism. Hi, Millie Cameo. Hi, Millie Butt.
I think that Millie just got in trouble with Daddy, so I think that's why we're out here. I think we got in a little bit of spot of trouble. So.
Oh, so now we're kissing up.
Yep.
You better simmer down then. We talk a lot about American friendship and the many levels of the spectrum of belonging to people here. How do you balance? We talked about equity and equanimity in the sharing of the screen. How do you navigate that in your personal relationships? How do you know when you've given too much or when you're giving too little? Is there an internal compass that moves for you?
You know, I think about it a lot in terms of like, just because a person dislikes someone, that you don't have to dislike that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I do, like I think about that a lot. And so for me, but that has also been a learning curve, right? Of like, I don't have to jump in the hole. There used to be, even in our network, back 3 years ago, like the commiseration of being miserable or being angry. And like that feeling, that was the string of belonging, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes.
as opposed to like where it is today, where it's like one of us could be mid or below mid, and then the other one is sort of like still up on the upper echelon, right?
Bobbing on the water.
Yeah, and so like I think it's definitely been a learning curve of like, well, just because, my friend is having a bad day doesn't mean I have to have a bad day, or doesn't mean like I have to take everything as negative. Like I can still be positive even if so and so is having a really busy day, or I can have a slow day, right? And I really think, that I'm kind of like talking through it and deconstructing it, like it's the deciding not to compare what I'm feeling with somebody else's. It's very much being like in alignment and in touch with what I'm feeling and not getting affected by other people. But that's taken a lot of work to find that sort of like space.
Yeah. And shout out to your personal development and professional development before here. And also shout out to the 7-day pillar challenge, House of
Yeah.
Mind and Water in our network, because talking weekly and daily at interval about who you are and like grounding yourself. Who am I? How do I feel? What do I do? What do I love? What do I speak? What do I see? What do I know? And what do I understand? These are keys to the kingdom, so that when the winds do start blowing, and when the rains do start falling, and you do feel like life is going to wash you away, you can ground yourself. You got the tools in your tool belt to say, no, I'm having midday, or I'm having a below midday, or I'm not. A lot of our conversation sometimes as entrepreneurs out here is, I don't feel motivated in the moment. That's okay. All right. Well, I do feel motivated, and maybe if I get to what I'm doing, then you'll be motivated to open your computer. And this is the kind of body doubling and commingling that we can have together. Okay, last card is all about the subconscious mind. I realize that subconscious beliefs or programs may be holding me back from my desires. For example, if I want money, I may have been told things growing up that I am subconsciously holding on to. So I go back to my past and release beliefs that no longer align, substituting them with ones that do. Once again, I realize that subconscious beliefs or programs may be holding me back from my desires. For example, if I want money, I may have been told things growing up that I'm subconsciously holding on to. So I go back to my past and release beliefs that no longer align, substituting them with ones that do. This is big for me. Being in a relationship with Tara, you want to talk about the personification of rich dad, poor dad. My dad wasn't penniless and did not die penniless. He left our family unit in a strong position in his passing. However, I have learned from the countless stories of people that I've encountered along these walks of life that everyone did not have the same financial literacy. Everyone's relationship with money was not built on the same premises. It also now dovetails into the thought that I forgot last slide about how everything in our society, especially capitalism, and I call it crapitalism, is built around limits. Like you have a credit limit, or a credit score, a credit limit. Like it's all about you can succeed but up until this point. And we don't want to be limited in our thoughts towards money anymore. There's certainly plenty of it. It's being donated and it's moving through the economies. And even though there's a belief that there's a recession, I also was in a teaching and a training where the guy was going down. There's at least 100 recession-proof careers and ideas. There are people, believe it or not, there are people of all walks, including ours. Private education was on the list. No matter what happens in a recession, private education always exists. And I'm deconstructing. We're always in a mastermind. But we have these ideas sometimes. Let me speak for me. I have these ideas where I'm gonna dry up, and none of my dreams about being a worldwide speaker and entertainer and edutainer is gonna come true. And where's the money going to come from to fuel it all, and how does it all fall into place? And the truth is that where passion is, and where joy is, and where discipline is, all of these things are going to fall into place. And we all know this on some level in our personal narrative. It just takes Tara beating me up like a piñata. No, it's we iron sharpens iron here, as sacred texts say. And anyway, did you want to share any of your, what's like the most inspiring thing that's happened to you on the internet this week, if any? Has anything inspiring happened to you?
I don't know about on the internet. In person, y'all just don't mind. The husband has the baby for right now. There may be an appearance in the back of the head very shortly, but the husband has the baby for right now. So in person, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. I just listen, y'all. A good voice lesson, man, it can change it. You know, like it is. As a teacher, it's just one of those amazing things. I was trying to think about on the internet, like I don't know. I guess the thing that I've been inspired by lately is just like seeing, what did we watch last week that was like, maybe it was the Stacey Abrams. No, it was the day before the Stacey Abrams. It was the woman that was like, oh, from the Malala Institute, and they're trying to get gender apartheid recognized by the international court. And I was like,
I'm not laughing about that, y'all. I'm laughing about the fact that she's been talking about this for like a week.
I need to dream bigger, you know, or like my goal needs to be bigger. That was really inspiring to me, not because of gender apartheid, y'all. Like, we don't like gender apartheid. That's what we're here to deconstruct. We don't like any of that. And we want an equitable world, since that's our word today. Equitable. However, that is, yeah, it's so inspiring to me that someone would just like do this work and be like, yes, I am going to get gender apartheid recognized by the international community as a war crime. You know, like, what are you saying? Right? And then even like, there's just, yeah, the podcast last week, as dark and grim and like hopeless as they were, the little specks of things were very much inspiring to me. What about you? What inspired you in the last week on the interwebs?
Ooh.
Or most inspired you?
What did I witness? And as I asked you that question, it made me like how are we actively using the tools? You know, like, it was a very did you stump me with my own question? You know, I'm going to unless something comes to me, I'm going to say that is the problem. That I'm out here using these tools and promoting networks and academies and putting out so much ashe into it. But am I truly drawing from the well in a way that would inspire me? Probably not.
So how you'd fix that? That's
And
something to think.
well, that's something to, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to deconstruct. And I've heard there's a place called, I think it's called Deconstruction. It starts with a J. Juice.
It might be Zhush.
Deconstruction zhuzh. Yeah, where it's kind of like I threw the question to you, and then I was like, oh, interesting. What is she going to do with that question? And then you threw it back. I was like, what am I going to do with this question? And that's what we do here, and unapologetically, because I've got to get intentional about going into that space. Now, have I laughed at tons of Twitter posts? Have I put in tons of reels as we've discussed? Have I gone live like we're going live now? Absolutely. But once again, I need to be more intentional about drawing energy from the well in a way that inspires me. And I need to now play that I Spy game that the kids play, where I'm going out onto the internet to find people and energies to be inspired by. That may even increase a positive relationship for me to the internet.
I pay for the increase. Okay.
Yes. Send your cash apps to
Take a lesson.
take a lesson. Yes, and don't be afraid. I got some feedback from my fam, my soul fam today. Sometimes you got to ask. This is what we're doing in here. It even happened just now. Sometimes you have to just sit with people and have conversations and ask them the tough questions, or unpack the things that you're not so sure about, so that you can know how to best be of service in the world. And I'm really encouraged to be working on this ongoing idea that I have around communications, courage, and confidence, and how that shows up for people, and how people can perhaps use musical theater and other forms of creative expression to tell their stories and to liberate, the feels inside. That's what we do here. We do a lot of liberation work of the emotion space. And to Tara's point earlier, when we come in here and we're feeling low or lower on the emotional guidance scale, we have language for that, to circumvent having a worse day or feeling alone in a bad moment, because as Sondheim said, no one is alone. Okay. I don't want to belabor this, because I want to be mindful of our inner here. But I did want to bring some of my of the little things. I posted in my story today on Instagram, Andre and the Flow. I'm not able to go live at the moment because of a bit technicality of humanity, and my freedom choices. However, I am still active there, and I will be back soon. However, we're live tonight over on
Love and Action Net.
yeah, and yeah, I see that we did have some people that did stop by for a little bit, and we look amazing.
Yeah, I've checked in a couple times, and I just looked at the YouTube. We look good.
That's Black excellence. Yeah, I love your backdrop. I love my backdrop. I love this. I love who we are. I love that we keep trying, and I love our resilience. And I know that we're crazy enough to actually win.
Yeah,
We're compassionate enough, and we're crazy enough to
compassionate,
actually
crazy.
win it. It's a thing. I don't mean to alarm anyone, but I've decided to be ridiculously optimistic and hopeful about my life. That's from Young Pueblo. If you don't follow him on Instagram. Another one from The Good Quote. No one knows what they're doing. not even the ones with degrees, big job titles, or the people on your vision board. Everyone is just trying loudly, failing loudly, and trying again. And so should you. What do you think about this trying loudly and failing loudly and all of this, Tara? Is that
I
resonate?
love it. And I think, okay, we're both taking this is not a it is a promo and it's not a promo, but we're both taking Fiona Flight's masterclass right now. And something that Fiona Flight has always reflected back to me. A free masterclass, by the way. It's called Journey to 100K. Y'all can find the link in my stories right now. Um,
Facebook, y'all.
Facebook, yeah. Um, One of the things that she's reflected back to me and said to me time and time again is like that I am so willing to grow in public and like ask the weird questions and do the weird things and like not necessarily like fail, right? Because I don't really, we've talked about this before, I don't really view failure as a failure. And as Poppy Wata always asks, like, what did we learn? What did we learn this time? What did we learn from that failure?
Yes.
So, like, for me, it's just a reminder that even the people, like even Kamala, even D. Trump, even Bill Gates, even Steve Jobs, like they were all just and are just experimenting. They are in the experimental mindset, and the only difference between like them and us or them and a layperson is how much we believe in our growth mindset versus our fixed one. And if we rely on that growth mindset, none of us know what we're doing. And so it's fine to show up however you are, you know?
It is fine to show up however you are.
Yeah.
That's good shit. Good
Yeah.
shit. Spiritual trauma, unrelated to the last post. This is Hillary McBride. I picked this up in the interwebs. Spiritual trauma. Trigger warning for those of you who are religious or were former religious people. Spiritual trauma is someone handing you an inner critic and telling you it's the voice of God. And so I wanted to just discuss tonight a little bit around like and deconstruct with Tara when she gets back around what it was like for me to grow up under a God that was watching me to see what I was doing wrong. And how that inner tape of looking for all the ways in which I failed. It's even for those of you who are familiar, it's baked into some songs. A bunch of the songs of my faith upbringing had to deal with I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve good things, yet you still give them to me. And I wonder, folks, how that undeserving vibe seeps into my present life. And there were just so many rules. There was music that I wasn't supposed to listen to. There were relationships that I was not supposed to have. There was so much of life. Welcome back. There's so much of life that I was not supposed to take part in. Part of that path was like the drinking of a glass of wine. Like there are people that believe that that's absolutely not supposed to happen spiritually at all. And then you end up walking around as a person who is able to partake in that area of life with the inner critic that says, well, if I do that, something bad's going to happen to me. And that's a personal discussion about whether or not you really want to imbibe in alcoholic drinks and things like that. However, I'm not sure how beneficial it was for me to have that inner critic always harping on me. And it was one of these things where I've talked about this a lot, and then I'll see what you think, Tara. Um, they say that if you tie a baby elephant to a spike, that baby elephant will learn to not move. And even when that elephant becomes multi-tonned, and is able to pull the stake out the ground and to crumble the entire village, it will not move because of this learned helplessness. And some of my spiritual trauma that you've even experienced and witnessed is me believing that the voice of God was somehow going to take action for me and move my dreams forward without me actually applying that effort. And it's all tied together for me. And I'm doing the work in community of getting free from these voices of self-doubt that were planted when I didn't need any of that habba babba. You want to talk a little bit? Habba babba. Was there any habba babba in your past? I remember that you told me. I mean, you shared this on lives, so I hope I'm not overstepping. But that you had a negative experience in a faith-based place, and it just turned you off on the whole experience. They were critical, and it was in a godly space. So that's what this is all about. We're not anti-religion here, folks. We just want to kind of undo or help to heal the harm that causes from, it's not that you don't want to have a spiritual foundation. It's just that you don't want to have any of the bullshit that goes along with it. You don't want to be harming yourself in the name of love.
In the name of love. Yeah, I mean, when something happens to you when you're young in the church, such as me, such as what happened to me, which was essentially I went on stage, I forgot my words, and I came off stage and I was berated by a full adult, a whole adult. I was like 5 or 6 years old, and this adult just screamed at me for forgetting my words. And thus is why I have trauma around forgetting my words. So those of you that know, and those of you that don't. And it took me a long time to heal from that. And I think, I was 5 or 6, so I didn't really understand why I stopped believing in God, but stopped believing in at least the church. But it became a really negative place for me. I never did confirmation. I did do first communion. I'm pretty sure my mom still has the cups that I decorated for the wine, but I never did confirmation. I never wanted to take those courses because I just really found it all to be hullabaloo and habba babba. Because if we're praying to somebody, and this is the part that didn't make sense to me when I was 5. Okay, I was a radical when I was 5. I said to another whole adult, I said, why do we pray down when God is up?
Stop.
That never made sense to me. Why do we bow our heads to pray, child, when God is supposedly in the sky? That's when it became
excited to be like a kindergartner.
Why do we all go, and now we bow our heads to pray?
That's the beginning.
It was the beginning of the end, child. And then I couldn't understand, if God was so loving, why the people that followed him were so mean to me.
That makes no sense either.
It was just one of those things. So I mean, I feel like in a way I got lucky because I stopped believing in it so young, even though I was still doing things in the church. And as I got older, I was doing more and more things with the church, and I sing religious music and I do spirituals and I do all that jazz. However, I don't believe a lick of it. And that's really hard for people to come to terms with, is that Tara does not believe, specifically, I don't believe in religion, right? I don't believe in the way that religion controls people. And I think if we really get down to it, that's what most religions are doing. It's a way of control, the same way that governments are. the same way that any kind of like formal agreement is. It's a form of control that we have as a society have agreed that we need in order to live, which is a really interesting thing. Like, you know, I remember this video.
Want the ritual. They want their ritual. They want the predictability. They want that feeling of groundedness. They want that anchored feeling. They want that, you know, if the whole world is moving thousands of miles per hour, I need to know that I can depend on this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because people, I mean, like humans are even less dependable than religion.
That is true.
But we know, but like, if we're in deconstruction junction, we got to talk about these are ideas. You know, we talk a lot in our network as it relates to marketing and the lifting of ideas around U+1. That's what a religion is. I could make a religion called, you know, the field of flow.
Right.
And I got one other person that buys into the ideas of the field of flow, then you got a religion, because it's just ideas and past traditions and things. I pray and hope, even if hope is expensive, I can afford a hope where spiritual practices are actually doing the uplifting work. I don't mind any institution of spirit as long as it's seeking to do uplifting work. We see some not opposite. I'll say it's not mine to judge. We see some different vibrations out in the wild.
True.
You illustrate it. However, if faith-based institutions can lift love higher, I will abide it.
Well, and what if, y'all, there was a religion that actually believed in liberation instead of control? And I come to this. I put it on the notion. You were talking about something earlier, and I watched this video in between lessons today by one of my favorites. I've talked about her before, Christiana Smith. Okay, Christiana Smith. I adore her. I love the way she talks about imagination. I love the way that she talks about liberation. She says she's insatiably curious. She's a liberation worker who is insatiably curious, right? And I just love that. And in her bio, not her bio, her, what is that called? Her handle. It says Christiana Smith, possibility maven. And I am obsessed. But anyway, the video that I saw, she was talking about, what is your liberation seedling? And what liberation seed do you plant every day? And that just got me, right? Like, so what if there was a religion of liberation? What if there was a religion of joy? What if there was a religion of hope? You know? I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it.
The seeds you plant grow.
Yes. What is your liberation seedling? What is your liberation seedling? And what do you do daily for liberation? It was such an interesting video. I'll drop it later. I'm sure I saved it. It was so short. It was under a minute, and I was like,
mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be anything grand. Part of my work, just because I love to demonstrate abundance and manifestation and Black boy joy, I go live every day. I connect with Love and Action Network members, VIP, and the fan club every day. And for me, that's a liberation seed, because there was nobody like me boldly talking in religion, outside of religion, in politics, outside of politics, in creative, outside of creative, and wanting to allow for real to recognize real. When I was a child, I was very much under the control of Christ.
Nobody, 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 nobody.
So then you start to deconstruct your life. You grow up and you realize that there's, I mean, how in the hell would there be two of every animal on a boat in the middle of the ocean somewhere? And it's nice to think about. I worked on cruise ships for many years. It's fun to think about. However, I need solid ground to stand on Tuesday, August the 20th.
Yeah.
And so then I started picking up different kinds of tools and playing with them. And now it's something that looks very interfaith. It's an interfaith. It's a faith in myself, a faith in the other, and then a faith in what we co-create together.
Mm-hmm.
Which is essentially what religion is without the thou shalt do this and don't do that. Otherwise, I'm going to toxically shame you, perhaps to death. And even if you don't get toxically shamed in life to death, you will definitely burn to death in death. And that's heavy for a human who's just trying to have a solid breakfast.
That part. It's heavy. It's heavy.
So the work that we're doing here every Tuesday. You got so heavy, baby. So the work we're doing every Tuesday is just simply to have these conversations. I may do one more hot topic. Oh yeah. Why do you think? I asked Poppy Water this tonight, and this is like moving from religion into naked people in the garden. That'll be the bridge. Remember, there was naked people in the garden.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve, they said, were in the garden. The snake was talking, and the fruit and all that. Why do you think? Are you familiar with Kanye West? And
Never heard of him. Yeah.
He's this billionaire.
Not anymore.
Why is he parading his wife around in the street in transparent clothing? And what does that say about? Does it say something about us, or does it not say something about us? I'm sitting here looking at ass cheeks on my screen. 1 p.m. It says Kanye and his wife Bianca Censori spotted. This is not the first or last time that these people have been caught. There's even video of them like at dinner. Like she'll sit at full, and this is not she'll sit. They will sit. Let me be very careful because I don't want to preposition this language in any way. Not in the year of our Kamala, I'm not.
Kamala.
A cop.
Kamala.
A cop.
Kamala. Dehumanization.
A wheel within a wheel, right?
Right. Breaker of chains. Mother of dragons.
It's always happening. So in the year of Kamala, as we break that chain,
yes.
Why? Do you think that it's an artistic statement?
Okay, I have to go back to the way that you phrased it initially, which was like, why is he parading her? Maybe she just likes to be nude, child. The lady that played Poppy Water will know this too. The lady that played Paige, Rose McGowan is her name, in Charmed.
Okay.
She also loved to be naked and wear scantily clad things to red carpets. Now, would I do that? No. Do I assume that she's doing that because of Kanye? Absolutely not. Do I think that Kanye likes the spectacle? Sure. Who wouldn't? Right? But like, it seems to me like there are a lot of pictures of her alone, scantily clad, across the interwebs as I was looking at the comments on that post that you sent me. And, so that's a very, it's kind of a misogynist take to assume that she's doing it for him or to assume that he's parading her. instead of her just being there and wearing what she wants to wear, which is apparently nothing. And in America, we clutch our pearls when naked people come out, y'all. We all clutched our pearls. Was it John Cena? Was it John Cena on the Oscars who came out naked?
It was
A naked baby, right? And we were all like, "Oh my god, he's naked. There's a butt. There's a butt." You know what they do over in Europe? They're like, "Here's a nude beach, baby. You know, here's a butt on a bus for an advertisement." Like, I think that, again, like, I'm not going to go out on the street nude. I'm not going to do it. I don't find joy in that. I also, speaking of butts, I saw. But there's this video on TikTok of this man who grooms his own poodle, and he gives the poodle a bubble butt because the hair is puffy, and so he cuts it so that it looks like a human bubble butt.
And where do you see this on TikTok? It's got to be on TikTok.
It's on the TikToks. I'll have to find it again because I thought it was
So hilarious.
It was hysterical. But yeah, I mean, like, so excuse you, Moose. Moose just farted, child. Everybody farts. Everybody's got a butt. Everybody's got some kind of genitalia.
Yes.
Well, I shouldn't say everybody. Some people.
Bianca Sensori certainly does. I see it.
Right. And so, like, I don't know. Like, sure, it's spectacle, but it's only spectacle because it's a celebrity. You know, and like,
you think that if it was Tracy from around the way, we would just be like, Tracy, don't put no clothes on, and just keep it pushing?
Yeah, I mean, like, sure, maybe the police would get called for indecent exposure, and hopefully the police wouldn't
harm Tracy. Yeah,
right. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's part spectacle. I think it's okay for her to love herself in that way. You know, does it affect me in any way? No. Does it affect Kanye in any way? No, not really. Aside from maybe a quick uptick in his socials until people realize how anti-black he is, and then they just go on their merry way and he loses some more brand deals. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
this may be a case of just celebrity going to celebrity.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the spectacle of it, right? And like, as much as we were talking earlier sort of about the social contract, right? Control of religion, and like the idea that we need religion and government in addition to the social contract, which, like, I don't necessarily believe we do. I think the social contract is enough as long as we all agree not to break the social contract. But there's a different social contract.
And we can't be a deconstruction junction. Like, when you say the social contracts,
the way we treat each other in community.
Is this written down somewhere, or just something we just know right from wrong?
I think we inherently know right from wrong. Like, I think most of us don't go out and say, like, it is right to murder people.
Right. Just the way that you were so authoritative and saying the social contract, I was like, oh my God, like, did I sign? I guess I did by virtue of being a decent.
You were birthed. Right. And like, okay. And I should, like, preface this by saying, like, I see the social construct through the lens of this very specific video I think it was made by a woman named Kim. It was back in 2020. It has since been deleted. And she was out there hollering and saying the social contract has been broken. The social contract has been broken. And so, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's one of those things that I'm like, okay, that sticks out. But what I was going to say about the social contract is there's a different social contract or contract that we all sign as not celebrities than the celebrities sign. Like, again, Tracy down the street, probably going to get the cops called on her. Did anybody call the cops on this chick? No. We was all like, oh my God, there's a butt. You know, like, it's a different social contract that we have for celebrities. And that's something to talk about too. Like, why again, I think people, like, bodies are bodies, you know? Like, and that's what I intend to teach my kid. Like, bodies are bodies.
Bodies are bodies.
Bodies are bodies. Some
Like I
people call butt. Some
said,
people
I
call
don't
butt.
have any opinion. You all, please don't send me any kind of mail or emails or comment cards or Yelp reviews about my feelings about women's bodies. And while her name is uh, Kamala and all of these things, please don't blow my DMs. I've got one post with 2.5 million views. That's just flooding everything. I don't even know who the real people are that are talking to me that I know because of that
So what
post.
he's saying is your hate mail will not get through
You're
because
able to get, if you got an opinion about me, just put it in the hat. Two drops in the bucket, bucket. But I just it's in my face. Like there is something in the algorithm that wants me to see this lady's ass, and I was just curious about alternative viewpoints of what it is. I'm not attracted to lady ass. I mean, I know a nice one when I see one, but that's not. So I just wondered, is this something that is because there have been people who speculated that perhaps she didn't want to do it.
and maybe she doesn't, but to say that there's like I mean there's a bunch of pictures of her with minimal clothing on individually without Kanye. So like
Right.
I just and to an extent women's bodies have been policed for so long, right? What we've worn has been policed for so long
I
that
apologize.
to show up in scantily clad, right? That's like the whole 1900s. We saw this swing from like covered up turtlenecks to the 60s where they were wearing mini skirts. You know, that's where mini skirts originated, right? Like we're the swing of like woman power, and maybe that's not the statement she's making, you know, but it is a viewpoint.
I'm thinking about like all there are women in this community where I live currently launching this tour where it is against their religious agreements to wear pants.
Right.
We're
Right.
dealing with every society from people who are in what you're talking about. Like over the decades, there was like a shortening of the hem length of dresses and skirts and things. Now she's naked in the street, and while she's naked in the street, we have women in America or people in America that are covered from head to toe, you know, or
Right. And
children.
we have girls' bodies policed in schools, right?
Right.
It's not boys that get told not to wear spaghetti straps. It's girls because it might distract.
Wait,
Right.
wait. Based on speaking of police in school, I heard the funniest story from my, I guess technically my sister-in-law, but she's like really, really young in school. There are these bathrooms in the modern high schools that have nicotine and other special sensors. That if you do any kinds of drugs or smoke in the bathroom, it locks you in there
That
until un-
trauma.
until an admin comes and releases you out. And so I was laughing about that because it's giving very much Orange is the New Black. And we've talked about like the prison, like the school to prison pipeline, and I
Yeah.
don't know what symbolizes that more. However, we laughed about it, but someone's already been trapped in there since school has started, and it just recently started. What say you about a bathroom that can cage you?
Just tremendous trauma. I saw this. Listen, I saw this post in a group the other day because I'm in some mom groups, and this person was like, "My toddler constantly tries to get out of the room when we're sleeping, and so like I've been holding the door shut." And I'm like, "You are traumatizing that child."
No.
Like I'm like thinking of all the ways that we traumatize children, and then I'm thinking of the ways that like what this extends to for me is like the idea between punitive justice and restorative justice. Like punitive justice does not work. Punitive measures of telling kids, like you tell kids not to smoke and they're going to go smoke. You tell kids not to drink and they're going to go drink. You tell a student to relax, they're not able to relax. Like this is all of this is so like roped into like this shame spiral and this guilt spiral, and it's just punitive. And I would have trauma about going to the bathroom ever, because like what if the
You're never going to fart nicotine though.
yeah, but what if the sensor was like wrong one day and it just locked me in there for no reason? Like that's a real fear of mine. You have fears of being behind a freaking refrigerator, which is not real. And I have a fear now of being locked in a bathroom because I don't smoke.
Yeah, I heard that and I thought that was wild. But it just reminded me of what Gen Pop will do to those who, don't take their studies seriously. Anyway, y'all, thanks so much for coming to Deconstruction Junction. I'm Andre in the Flow on all platforms. That's Tara Paolo Studio, a new mom who brought baby along for the ride tonight as they progress through oh my god, building their new family and learning all that goes along with that. If you are interested in taking part in our joy as resistance, remember, you don't have to have frowny days or bad days. It happens to all of us. We call them middays here, days where we're going down the emotional guidance scale and it just doesn't feel so good. But if you want support and community and people to love and care for you and your dreams, go to the website that's floating down below, lovedandlovable.bio.link, lovedandlovable.bio.link. We'd love to get to know you. Right now, we're throwing lots of seeds out in the world. We've got 30, 60, 90-day programs for personal development. If you hang out with us, even if you just come to these lives every Tuesday night for the next 30, 60, 90 days, you're going to hear perhaps a conversation that you want to have. And you're invited to reach out to us. And if there's something that you've been pondering, my pondering place is when I'm doing the dishes. I think a lot while I'm doing the dishes if I'm not live on TikTok or Bigo. And sometimes, I said, you know what? That's something that I want to like pick apart with Tara. Or that's something that I want to bring the Deconstruction Junction and just kind of say like, this kind of bothers me that this lady's out here naked. And Tara's like, shut the fuck up. Women's bodies are their own, that's something that has to happen and for growth for us all. So thank you all for being here tonight. Tara, did you want to leave any closing thoughts on the table about
I
this
mean,
program in the world?
I really just believe that conversation is the key. I just really do. I think that's my liberation seed, like, is the ability to start and continue to have conversation and facilitate conversation. And so I just encourage you all, like, any question, leave it in the comments. And we didn't even talk about like the things that are in the notion for tonight. Like we meandered and so like if there's anything you're wondering about or anything you're like, I really need to voice this, put it in the comments and we'll get back to it. Like or put it in one of my question boxes. I usually put up at least once a week, like, hey, your space, your box, say whatever, ask me a question, tell me how you're feeling, whatever. So do that, connect with people. That's all we can ask for in the next 30, 60, 70 days till the election.
Just know, folks, that there are people with lots of money that are seeking to divide us who believe that love will win. I don't really care what you believe in politically or religiously. I mind my business and drink my water. But for those of you who are anchored in love or geared towards love and freedom and healing, there's going to be like of all melanin content and background and belief, there's going to be a huge concerted effort by people in power with millions of dollars to divide us and to make us feel different and to make us feel like we do not belong. And I don't want anyone, regardless of how you approach life and the lives that we're living, I don't want anyone to take the bait that doesn't have to. They're going to try to make us play white mama, black mama. They're going to try to make us play, citizen versus immigrant, or war versus peace, and all these different things. Just if love is your focus and if love is your seed, let it be your focus and your seed. And if you do get off the path, our DMs are open to you here in the network. And we hope to see you next week, 7:45. Let us know what you'd like to deconstruct. And we'd love to. As Tara always says in her sign off,
continue to be anti-racist. Be safe. Wear a mask. Make good trouble. Do good work. I love y'all hardcore. You are loved and lovable. And we'll see you next time. Toodles.